Postman, city, hood, click. Let's go.
About humanity, putting truth in these lies, while they busy feeding lies. When you got that tunnel vision, gotta open up your eyes. Wake up and go to sleep. Man, I'm praying all times. And to my guys, ain't no other side. This for my brothers, I'ma pray with y'all shine. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Yeah, you already know.
Depending on the lessons, some people eat, some people learn. But the game is going to send you big. Lock the door.
Lock the door. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation and the Mailroom Goons. I am Professor Melly Mail, the Hood Postman. Be sure to click that notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below so when the dope content hit, it's going to feel like it's the first season 15. Welcome to the mailroom. When you come in and take a look at your mind, examine what's in your heart. You can go anywhere in the world to get a couple of lives, but you come right here to get the truth. Get on the bus and let Brydog, Brydog, AK Bone, Slim take you to school. We on we on the world tour with Brydog. I'm telling y'all, what's good? What's good, Brian?
What it do, man? What it do? What it do? What it do?
Man, it's been a while, man, since you've been on the channel, man. And you one of the mailroom's favorite mailroom goons. Love you over here, man. And we missed your presence, so I had to reach out because I just noticed recently that Rayful Edmond just returned home back to DC from the feds, and you have a lot of wealth of knowledge of being in USPs and being around certain individuals, especially known as the DC boys. But I want to touch on Wayne Perry as well and Kurt Bone because you and I both met Kurt Bone. But I want to start off by letting you get into what was your experiences and how you felt the DC boys, how they moved in the USPs.
I felt they moved, to paraphrase Tupac, they were all military minded. And like I said before, the similarities between us and them, what I'm saying, our culture and their culture, we'll just put it like this, gang culture from Southern California. And their culture is, if you give us an inch, we're going to take 10 miles. So it wasn't like they were bullies. I'm not going to never say they were bullies. They were people or men from a certain geographical area that a lesser man couldn't survive around.
Would it be fair to say that they were more like us? Or, I mean, when we look in the mirror, looking at them, we almost looking at ourselves. I'm talking about, cats from Los Angeles, Compton, Watts area, Long Beach, Linwood, Carson, and Inglewood as well. So what was some of your, you've been to what they know as Bloody Beaumont, right?
Right.
What was the ratio with DC boys and Crips?
When I was at Beaumont, it was 5 DCers on the line terrorized. They had cats paying rent to them, man. The homies, we were like just 12 deep.
And how many deep were they?
They were like 5. But now when I was in USP Terre Haute, when it was a regular joint, we were 12 deep and they were like 200 deep. So now that was a different ball game because unfortunately that thing happened with the homie Fish, and most of the DC dudes came to Tier Hut, where there was already a bunch of them there. But it was a respectful thing because they said what happened in Victorville, let it stay in Victorville.
So can you give us a relatable story? You just mentioned Fish. What happened with Fish, if you can talk about it?
Well, I don't really want to go into it, but Fish got into an altercation with DC, and he came up on the losing end. And as a result, DCs couldn't enter Victorville for like 5 to 6 years, or something that they were allowed to come.
Can I add this, Brydog? I want to add the fact that the DC boys, right, are probably the deepest car in federal systems.
Right.
And one of those reasons why is because they have no state joints. They used to have a joint called Lawton, I think, out of Virginia, where they used to send them, but they closed Lawton. So every crime and everything you do in DC is deemed as a federal crime, and they will put you in federal lockup. And that gave them the edge as far as numbers. The DC boys are probably the largest number, the biggest card within the federal system.
Well, for sure. I know in 2020, it was 6,000 DCers in the feds at that. So you got 6,000 dudes. You got a concentration of 200 here, 200 here, 200 here, 200 here. Yes, of course. Now, I will say this. The Lorton, I knew a guy named Singletary. They called him Sing. He was a Lord legend. That was, yes, we had gladiator schools, but for them, that was really a gladiator school. Lorton, it went down in Lorton. You know, from the stories I heard from them dudes, so I got some cats from DC, man, that just was like outstanding pieces of work, man, that a lot of dudes gave a lot of room to, you know.
Give us some stories about the DC boys. What made them so violent, or made them such a formidable, have formidable reputations?
Okay, well, what really, from my understanding, now bear in mind, this is just from my understanding, I can stand to be corrected, but what put the DC boys on the map was when they got into that war with them ABs, and they went hard in the paint. And when you look at ABs in the, it's a lot of them, like, they hate DC blacks, as they call them, right? I know, like Titus caught up in that. Titus was a cold piece of work. He's a legend in there. I didn't have that war with them ABs. Literally, like, you know how we say in California that us gang members, if it wasn't for us, you couldn't walk in our state prisons.
Huh?
You know, and I'm not saying Crips, just Crips, but I'm saying both of us. If it wasn't for us, blacks would have a part in our state prisons. Well, if it wasn't for the DCs in certain prisons, brothers would have had it hard from the ABs.
Yeah, because I used to hear about this white boy named, I think his name was Silverstein, or
Terrible Tom.
and he was a AB. He was like, he had the keys to the car on the AB side, but he was like one of their main hitters. And I used to hear about him all the time. I never ran across him, but I was hearing like he was like, and he wound up later in the ADX with
the Red Baron. There's a few of them, man. Because I was with one of them. I'm not gonna mention his name, but me and him was real cool, man. He was like the third one in charge. He'd be on all the history channels. Not that dude who dropped out and was in the state. I'm talking about the federal dude. But yeah, man. All I can say, I know this, man, and I used to laugh at this, man. This just came into my head. I used to wonder why certain factions used to have all this security on them when I was in this one joint. I said, man, y'all about 1,000 deep up in here. What is all this security for? You gotta watch the DCs. I said, man, they ain't but about 150 deep, and y'all 1,000 deep. What, you know? I said, boy, the DC boys right there, they got the fear of God and cats around here.
Give me a couple of names out of the DC car.
The brother named Ghetto I used to play poker with. Marcelli Ghost, his name's Kenyatta Bay. Love, gotta have mad love for Love. The homies carried him correctly, and Love, you know, came from Victorville to Terre Haute. Hell of a dude. Love, Honey Bear, Buck, rest in peace. Young Gator, Wild is all outdoors. Older Gator, rest in peace. Kurt Bone, name ring extreme bells. Uh, Man, then the ultimate killer was Wayne Perry. From my understanding, that he should be in Walla Walla during his time, transferred from ADX. That's from what I heard from a GD who told me he did his paperwork when I was in the hole. But yeah, you got some. Oh, how can I forget Mike C? Oh my goodness, out his mind. Smoke, Goody Bay, the Lord and Legend Sing, Titus, the Lewisburg legend Titus.
Titus. Yes, sir. You and I had the pleasure of meeting Kurt Bone. Kurt Bone actually came to DC, left DC and came to California, and he came to Brydog's spot out there on the beach. We got to tell, Brydog near the beach, and he got to get to see some things. And we had just a really, really good time. And man, Kurt Bone was just a really good dude, man. And we had to go. But I want to ask Brydog when he come back about Rayful.
Now, what's up, young man?
I want to ask you about Rayful. Did you ever run across Rayful?
I didn't run across him, but I'm not sure, but I think after everything he did on his debriefing and all that, I think he was in what they call cheese factories in the feds.
Yeah, I remember that. I used to hear that name all around, the cheese factory. Cheese factory.
It was the biggest kept secret was California City. It was a prison that was made by private prison industries, and the California correction officers, which is the strongest union in the state of California, said, no, we don't got no prison right here with private guards. So it said idle. They hide you anywhere, but that dude, that probably was one of the most richest D-boys nationwide out of the urban areas.
Yeah. And now he's home. I see him on the video talking about I'm back. I said, boy, here we go. But
Alpo thought he was back too, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Al, let's get into that a little bit. I want to talk about Wayne Perry. Let me give you a little background. Wayne Silk Perry was in the 80s and early 90s. He ruled the streets of DC by means of lethal reputation. Some people call it Chocolate City, other people call it Drama City. He was out of Southwest DC, and he was probably one of the worst ghettos in the country. And it was literally these places be right down the street from the White House, and they be some of the worst ghettos. But people who live there had two vocational choices. That was crime and sports. And Wayne Perry became very talented in the latter. If you had the lack of talent, you pushed that crime. That was your choice, coming out of DC. But Wayne Perry, better known as Shaka Zulu L, aka Wayne Silk Perry, he held the keys. Again, I'm gonna say that again. The keys to the DC car. Don't nobody in the DC car move if that dude didn't tell him to move. If that dude right there told him to hold fast, I don't care where he at. They even put him in the ADX, and that's what 23 hours lockdown. They still could contain this dude and his power over the DC car, and he was out of that DC area, and how he got on is that he hooked up with Alpo, and he became a hitman for Alpo, which we all know later on when Alpo touched down, somebody took him out of there because a lot of them dudes that Wayne trusted and Wayne believed in, they turned around and used that mouth foul bail because Wayne was putting that work in. Wayne was unliving people out there, and they had a lot of information pertaining to Wayne. And that's why today we still find Wayne Perry. Shout out to Wayne Perry, a DC god. Just one of the most talented dudes out of there. I'm talking about as far as what he did in terms of what he did and what he gave to the game. DC right now still love that dude right to this day, and nobody could take that from him. Wayne back in ADX. Okay, He's back in ADX, bro.
Okay. That's why I said I stand because ask him. One time was he in Walla Walla?
At one time was he NHB? Was he NHB Day? Was he in Walla Walla? At one time. Yeah, yeah. He'll probably answer. But Brydog, what was some of the stories that you heard about Wayne Perry? Because I know he's a DC legend, man, and I think they did an article about him in Don Diva. If you guys can go find that article, is Wayne Perry out of DC, aka Shaka Zulu L, Wayne Silk Perry. I tell you guys, go read that story behind that brother, and you're gonna see a guy that was really, really, really about that life. He's equivalent to our Doc Holliday. I'm just gonna put it like that. He's equivalent to that, to whatever Doc Holliday is, Wayne Perry is to DC.
Okay, now this is what I say about what I've heard about Wayne Perry. You know how for our lifestyle, when unfortunately you was a shooter, and I always say unfortunately because I was a shooter, top shooter, right? So when a shooter compliments another shooter in the fashion that I'm about to, and I know I held my own, but I'm not upheld in comparison to when I was in that world like that. But I'm gonna say this: I wouldn't have been around him because I already know what it's gonna lead to. Probably my demise, most likely. I'm gonna keep it 100 because that was a diabolical ass dude. But he was the top of his profession in that world. He's the reason that Alpo was able to walk in DC. Bear in mind, Alpo ain't from DC.
No, he was from New York, right? Alpo just had the plug and he had the money, he had the resources, and and a lot of time when people have resources, go ahead. When people have resources, they're able to control narratives and individuals based on how they feed. He kept Wayne eating. He was feeding that animal. He was feeding the dog in him. Wayne Perry had that dog. Nobody could take that from him, and he proved that more times over.
I just, I feel like, me personally, because I look at things not from blinders on the side of my eyes, but I had to ask myself one day, why are people so intimidated by being in certain institutions, right? And then it dawned on me, like, I wasn't built for prison life, but I was built for the life. And those DC dudes, it's like, man, I don't know, man. They're different caliber of individuals, man. It's like I've not seen too many dudes that was soft from DC. It just was like them dudes, they predators, man. I'm not talking about sexually. I'm talking they just predators, man. It's like DC must be such a poor area in the Southeast and things like that, right? I don't know, but I know they solid, and I know a lesser man can't handle them. I ain't got nothing bad to say about them. Like I said,
in terms of pushing that knife, how would you rate them?
9.5 out of 10.
Wow, that's pretty hard, bro.
No, because the spots I've been in, that knife.
I'm not discouraged. I'm just saying I'm shocked at they percentages, and me being around a few of them, I know what you're saying is true because the ones that I've been around, they carried themselves like that. You know what I mean?
The reason I say 9.5 out of 10 is because I've been around hundreds of DCs, right? And they weed out their own week.
Right.
This is what they do with their week. They charge you as they should, since you want to be weak in a man's world.
Shout out to Jason.
When you ain't got nothing else to give them, they send you on about their business, about your business. So therefore, that's why it's such a high percentile of them dudes in a lot of joints that'll do their thing. 7 out of 10 of them will get down, but it only take 5 to move a crowd.
Yeah, because I heard they control gambling, they control drugs, they control a lot of things in there. But one thing you didn't want to do as a cat that was outside of DC is get involved in their gambling. And if you didn't have intentions on paying because they had a few people waiting with knives in the cut ready to come collect.
Yeah, because see, I play poker with DC dudes every day.
Uh-huh.
These Vice Lords and Stones, right? And a couple of Kings. But the DC dudes, they was like, to me, like when you playing poker, don't talk too much stuff, but you talk stuff, right? And I didn't see them DC dudes talk reckless to dudes at the poker table. But I love gambling with them because they gonna go all in. You know? I never had a problem with them, man. I don't know, maybe, you know.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Wayne might be about 64, 63 now. So yeah, I could see that NHB. He on the old man unit with Larry Hoover and some of the rest of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tell him thank you, man. You know, because like I always say, I stand to be correct. Well, he can hear me. NHB, thank you. I always stand corrected.
Right.
You know. But when I was in the hole in
All up there. Doc Holliday, Larry Hoover, Wayne Perry. What's interesting, shout out to Rennie Lowe. Rennie, I'll send you a link. You can jump in if you like. You talk about some of this gangster stuff.
yeah, Rainy.
Shout out to Reno. So I like to. It's interesting how they got Larry Hoover from Chicago. They got Jeff Ford also from Chicago. They got Wayne Perry from DC. They got Doc Holliday from Los Angeles. And I'm sure they got other cats up there that just they probably don't come. Shout out to Michelle, come to mind from Los Angeles. And they all in the ADX. And these some of the most prolific, the most intelligent, the most dangerous dudes in the system. No matter whether you're looking at the state or the feds, they were some of the most dangerous dudes, you know. And they got them all in the same spot. And dude mentioned the old man unit. I could see that happening. You know, they up in there trading stories. And me and Aldris was talking this morning because I was in the in Terminal Island, Bride, with a cat named his name was Doc Ray. Oh, Ray. Well, I'm gonna mention Ray Aldris. Ray. There was a guy named, his name was Darnell Garcia, and he used to come sit on the yard all the time, right? And just be talking, right? And the whole time I'm talking to him, Brian, one day it was my cellie, D-Dog from Oak Street Crips. He said, hey, hell, you know, Darnell used to be a DEA agent. I say, well, shout out to RDL. But anyway, Darnell, man, he worked with Ray Browning and Doc Holliday and all those cats. He was helping them be successful in the drug trade, and he used his DEA credentials to help them move. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he wound up getting told on by some other DEA agents who wanted to, you know, get a lesser sentence. You know how it goes. Some people they use that mouth out bail, and you never expect that's what they do. You think that when you come into the circle of trust and you get into this, bro, you never think that this gonna be the dude that's gonna, you know, be to my demise or tear down my whole, you know. But anyway, so I would be talking to Darnell, man, and he'd be telling me all, and I'd be thinking, and then that's when I had to start thinking, man, how did this dude know all this stuff? But long story short, dude was a cool dude, man, and I for some reason I didn't think he was a Mexican because he was really kind of like brown skinned, right. But he had that, he spoke Spanish and all that, so I didn't even know that he was originally from New York. I didn't know that until Aldris. Shout out to Aldris for finding that information out for me. Appreciate you, Aldris. Yeah, so a lot of these guys, man, you don't know. You can be on these federal penitentiaries, by that's I'm coming back to you, and not know exactly who you're talking to.
Exactly. I had a partner, right, that I used to hustle. You know how the feds go. I used to hustle out the kitchen with, right? I did not know that he had a tunnel that went from Mexico to Arizona. That was him with the hydraulics that came up inside the little shop they had.
Uh-huh.
They based that movie Sicario on, where they went up underground. That was one of my mans that I worked with every day. He was a pipe and in the building with every day. And I said, dang, he went from millions upon millions of birds to 30, 40 onions.
And you was in New Orleans with one of the was he a Colombian or Cuban kingpin?
Dominican, Richie Pena.
Tell us about Richard.
Richie Pena. Now, Richie Pena, this is a true story. When he was in 11th grade, he buried $14 million, right?
Huh?
About a year later, dig the money up, and it was all rutted and gutted out from moisture, worms, and everything.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Richie Pena came from the Dominican Republic when he was 8 or 9 years old. He took over New Orleans in the hop trade, in the heroin trade, and he blew up. They watched him up, said he was responsible for 120 murders, you know. But Richie is my ace boon coon. He's legend. You know, they have whole stadiums filled up with the Dominican and Puerto Rican rappers, and they yell, and you can hear them on some of the songs, Richie Pena, and the whole stadium will yell it. This is how legendary this dude is, you know. I'm not gonna put his business all out there, but some of these movies that they look at on TV, these bomb directors, the brothers that did it, that's Richie Pena work. Very intelligent brother.
Wow. My man say they got King Blood from New York. He's in the ADX as well. See, so every area and every function of Damu and Kiwi, right, or even BDs and GDs, some of their top hogs are right to this day in ADX.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know, most of our guys, you know what I'm saying, Kiwis and Damus, we go to ADX for violent acts that we committed in the joint, you know. They don't really send us to ADX off the rip.
Right. Yeah, because I was in Orlando Sample, aka Ace from Ludus Park.
Right.
Him and White Boy, WB, and I think it might have been Dre from Miller's. They got down on the DC boys up in Lompoc. Well, the DC boys got out on them, and then they shipped Ace them to Terre Haute, and Ace them got back at them with them baseball bats. But anyway, long story short, Ace wound up in the ADX, and when I ran into Ace in 2001. I was in MDCLA, right? And he had multiple bank robberies.
Yeah, he had bank robberies. He got
So listen, right? When I was in there, Ace started showing me all this paperwork on digital angel and all these chips. So what he alleged in court is that they plant microchips in his skin while he was in the ADX, and when he got out, he said they was controlling him and using him to rob banks, and he used that as his defense because Airtight Slim was there from Oakland. Airtight Slim, he was sovereign. He believed that he used all sovereign. I don't know if you know Airtight Slim. Airtight Slim was with the guy from Oakland. What was his name? The big guy.
Felix Mitchell.
Felix Mitchell. So Airtight Slim was the one that actually, whatever happened to Mitchell, Felix Mitchell, was due to Airtight Slim's mistake. So we all in MDCLA. So Ace is showing me all his paperwork, and we had the same judge, Stephen B. Wilson, right? So Ace was challenging the United States government on these guys, how they experimented to him in the ADX, right? And he was willing to show all his paperwork, and he had copies of everything. So he wanted to submit it into evidence. Judge Wilson said, "Oh no, wait a minute," because Ace had his attorney say, "Okay, if you don't believe what my kind is saying, let's give him an MRI. Let's see if these chips exactly exist." Is what he said inside his system, right? And the judge shut that down. The judge wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. I was with Ace. Me and Ace together in MDC.
So long story short, bro, they sent him to what's the medical center out there in Missouri?
It's in Springfield.
They sent him to Springfield. Springfield sent him back before I left, and they said we can't fix the guy. Judge Wilson vacated his sentence and let him go.
Yeah, and Ace was
The government did not want to be exposed for doing experiments on black prisoners within the ADX. This is how diabolical these people are.
Yeah, I was with Ace, and I will say this: I was there. He went to Springfield. He came back. They wanted to be hush hush, and they cut him loose.
Yep.
Surely did. And he said to me, he said, man, it's the frequencies, man. It's the frequencies. And he was trying to break it down to me. And at first I was like skeptical. And when he came back, I'm like, how I do that? But I hadn't been to ADX. So
hey, Big Russ wanted to know, do you know any Kansas City players that was in the joint?
Kansas City, Kansas or Kansas City, Missouri?
He'll probably take either one.
Okay, well, Kansas City, Missouri. I knew Michael McCarty. His name's Rusty, legendary jewelry store robber out there, legendary jacker. I knew another dude named Green from Kansas City. It was a bunch of Kansas City dudes, Kansas City, Missouri. And Green was a notorious jacker and a hustler. Then Zoe went home and just, started messing with girls that was not babies, but, teenagers though, 17, 18, stuff like that. But Zoe was a jacker, but they just like shunned him. And what was my boy name? Slick from Kansas City, from North Pole, that's what it was, North Pole. Then my other boy, Knockerfeller from Prospect, I think 37th to Prospect or something like that. Yeah, I knew some cats from Kansas City. Now this is all coming back to me like it was yesterday.
Gilbert, what about Gilbert Downey?
Gilbert Downey. Nah, I don't know him.
So a lot of times, Brian, and you would know this too, where we was thinking one way in Los Angeles, when we got in the feds, it opened up our minds to a whole lot of different other players and gangsters. East St. Louis, Kansas City, DC, New York, New Orleans, Florida. They would say, man, that's when my New Orleans partner, my Florida partner said, hey, man, that dude right there, he a mow down, man. He a mow down. I said, mow down? What do you mean by that? He said, man, he think he mow down than anybody on the yard. Man, I laughed.
Champaign, Illinois. I knew a hell of a dude, a vice lord named Sticks out of Champaign. Solid.
I knew Champaign out of New York.
But it's a city called Champaign, Illinois. And Rockford, Illinois. Them dudes produced some cats. Detroit, Flint produced some cats. Shaka from Flint, that was my man. Bone from Detroit. Black Hitman for Best Friends. That's what he was in there for, allegedly. That's what he was in there for, but that's what they alleged. There's a lot of cats, man. St. Louis, Missouri, they ain't no joke. Eat from St. Louis, popcorn from St. Louis. I know some cats. The feds opened your eyes to they do the same thing we do everywhere else, just same flavor, different twists.
Yes.
And if you get it twisted in your head that this, that, or another, you'll get a rude awakening.
Yeah.
Just like Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
My boy from New Orleans, he said, hey, Mel, man, dude finna go down like an old airplane crash. The DC boys, they hey, Joe. Hey, Joe, hey, Joe, you jive like this, Joe, or Shorty, or Slim. Yeah. What's up, Slim?
Hey, word is joint. They use joint for everything. You got your joint on you because I was up in the joint and dude tried to come in with jive joint coming wrong, and I'm like joint. Yeah, man, them DC dudes, man. Like I said, I didn't have no problems with them. I had a
question. He said, I wonder how it would have been if Tookie was in the feds, and what would he have the Crip car look like? do you think Tookie would have got along with the DC Cats? I think he would have, because, like I say, the DC Cats is like us looking in the mirror, bro.
Aggression respects aggression.
Yes.
You know, shoot. If Took would have been in the feds, he would have been ADX.
Oh yeah. Took wouldn't have been on no main line. Nah.
They would allow him on the main line. But, you know, Mel, man, you know, I think, like I said, man, I don't wish ill on no one. I just put it like that. But I don't see Wayne Perry riding on. I mean, excuse me, I don't see Rayful riding all around DC.
Nah, I don't think he gonna be able to do that. You know, I'm gonna call Kurt Bone and just, you know, have a conversation with Kurt Bone and just see what's going on. You know, just to get a feel of what it is, because I know Kurt Bone is out there. He got his finger on the pulse in DC. So I'm gonna give Kurt Bone a call, and I'll probably call Ghost as well.
And see, now I was laughing at one of the little memes. They say Jay-Z gonna hurry up and run up on buyout.
But I know
Jay-Z, I like this.
There's gonna be some people that want to get that story from Rayful, and I'm sure that as far as if he got the right mindset, he'll be able to capitalize off his name, even though he did what he did. And the same guy, what you call him, Harry-O should have did the same, but Harry-O was stubborn, man. I don't know what he was thinking. You know what I mean? I think he should have been more fluent and more into the idea that things had changed. Mm-hmm. And I think the Ghost Regime Network podcast by Mike Curry L. Right on, man. Shout out to you, man. Salute my OGs. I haven't saw you too since I was in my platform on Clubhouse. Shout out to you too, bro.
Yeah, we together, I think.
Huh?
I said, I told them we together more often than they think.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, that's just it, man. We, you know, I call Bry or he'll call me, and we'll really local be on the phone. But Brydog, we do early morning calls, bro.
Yeah, like this. If you F with them, I'm gonna come running.
Oh man, see.
Oh, that dope.
That's Kumi, Brydog. That's 415 Kumi.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
What's up, champ? What's up, champ?
Kind of hook up on him.
Yeah.
And ask him if he's still where he's still. Do we need anything?
415 Kumi, hit my Instagram, Dahoodpostman, and send me your math, man, so we can get at you.
Yeah. That's my main man from the distance, you know. That's my brother.
Right.
Al, you know. All right, man, I gotta go, Mel. Anytime.
Okay, Brian. Man,
right.
Thanks for coming to bless the mail room and the mail room goons, man, with your wisdom, man. We appreciate you.
Bye.
One love to the Brydog, man. AKA Bones, AKA Slim, AKA Brydog.
All that. All
right. Man, yeah. So yeah, I think, you know, is that I don't mind, guys. Listen, I know there's gangster dudes all across these United States. They're not just in LA. They're not just in Oakland. They're not just in San Francisco or San Diego. They're in New Orleans. They in St. Louis. They in Atlanta. They in Miami. They in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. They in B-more. I had some amazing B-more cats, B-more couple. Virginia, D.C. It's just they everywhere, guys. They everywhere. And when you get up in these feds, you get to meet these people and you get to cut it up with them, man. And they be, you know, and they start cutting up game and sharing game. You be like, wow, you know, because some of the hustles they would come up with, you be like, man, I should have thought of that. You know, but yeah, it'd be just like that, man. And shout out to Kansas City, man, Big Russ. And yeah, it just be a lot of respect, man. A lot of respect, a lot, you know. So yeah, we come together, man, like Voltron, Autobots, you know, and like Brian was saying, one of the dudes that handled them ABs was the DC Cats. unapologetic, no fear. Went right at them, right at them. Wouldn't play with them, you know, and play. And then see the thing about what we don't know. Well, we do know now that the Aryan brothers are supported by a lot of these police unions and police protectives, institution security guards or whatever you want to call them. You know, in the feds they got something called the SSI, Secret Service Internal, right? And they walk around the institutions. You know, they have direct connection to the FBI and a lot of, you know, you see cats going through that door, man. And they, we we would, if one of our people went through that door over there with the SSI, when he came back, man, he had to give us a full detailed report of why he went through that door and why he came back out on the yard. Until we felt comfortable with what he was saying and the information that he was providing, we if it didn't sound right, we cut him off and ran him up top. When you mean run him up, what I mean by that, he had to get up off the yard, run him up top. He got to go to the hole. He got to go to suicide watch. He got to go somewhere, but he can't be on this yard no more. You went to that door over there with them people over there that says SSI. They doing investigations. And a lot of time those investigations lead to other indictments to dudes out on the street. They had cats in there going in there parlaying and bargaining with them people. And the AG, the Attorney General, and all them people would come up there and meet these people. You know, these are people that later on, like when I started talking to Big Who gave me a lot of game to how the feds work. You know, because there was the psychology building, and then down below there was the SSI, and then over to the left of there was where you did the suicide. So all this stuff was connected. And a lot of times you wouldn't even know these people would be on the yard inside these buildings, and them dudes would go through them doors and they go up in there and debrief. They do what is called a Rule 30. A Rule 30 is where you go in, you provide information to some cats doing something, or you convince your girl to go buy something from somebody, and she set them up, and then they released the dude. They had dudes doing that in there, man. And I was like, what? Man, this is crazy. Who think of this stuff, or how did they come up with it? Or, you know, I witnessed that in Indiana prison. Peckerwoods had some more than a few situations, like saying administrative favor systems put soldiers for the agendas of racism and separatism, separation in the people. Yeah, exactly. They be more involved. I'm telling you, man, they're going to support their people, man. They're going to give them knives. They're going to provide them with different things. You know, how do get a makeshift bomb in prison, throw it in your cell and your whole cell blow up? I'm talking about blow up in the sense of fire, you know, not necessarily an explosion, but yeah, kind of like a combustible. So, you know, dudes blowing up your cell, you know. How they get that type of material in there? It's because the police bring it to them. That's how they get it. But anyway, guys, I appreciate each and every last and one of you, man, for joining us. Marlena Williams, Postmaster General, JC, Brian Recordings, Antonio, Big Russ, what's good? NHB Dave, yep, of course. King Mike in the house. Michelle, Victor Terry, SOS to the Hood Postman, Brydog, DC. Native. What's going on, Victor Terry from DC, man? Shout out to all my DC guys. Shout out to Malik. Shout out to Kazoo. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to people that I knew from DC, man. And my New York cats as well, and Kansas City. Everybody that I knew. Everybody. Ghost, what's going on? I mean, 415 Kumi, man. Do that favor for me. Send me that message over there on Instagram. And man, and shout out to everybody that's joining us today, man. I gotta get an early start this morning, so I gotta get up out of here, man. You know, be sure to click the notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below, so when the dope content hit, it'll feel like it's the first of the 15. This is not a glorification or a glamorization. It's always an education. man, get on the bus and let me take you to school. But don't mind me. Just watch it. But go ahead and lock that door.
Cali finest, baby. Proof of grind all the time. Music money. Got a dollar sign. Hub City. I'm a street nigga. Streets fuck with me. I'ma keep pushing products till the feds get me. It's guap off top. Diamond Cartier. That nigga Wall won't give a pro bitch the time of day. They see me climbing. They see me shining. That's hard work. Proof of grinding. New money got me tipping in that 550. Ali, bad man, and I'm so pretty. I got that tech with me. That's my hater sprayer. Go big, grind now, nigga, play later. What can I say? I'm addicted to this paper stacking. And I don't talk about it. I just make it happen. Word on the block is never shit. Go, reach for the low.
Lock the door, Marlena. We gone.